This is the Ask Faleskini podcast, where the modern economy is discussed from a skeptic's perspective. Mr. Faleskini helps you distinguish what is sustainable in our economy and what isn't. Not everything that glitters is gold, and not all mud is dirty. The podcaster Mr. Faleskini provides no-nonsense advice. He had it all, lost it all, went bankrupt multiple times, and is now attempting to come back from zero with sustainable growth. There are numerous coaches and preachers on the internet that preach about positive thinking and how life is all roses if you just care to see it that way. Well, Mr. Faleskini is definitely not one of them. We recommend you ask Faleskini to keep it real. He discusses the darker side of the current economic reality, the side that's more important for your personal and business finance. His first intention is to help you keep what you already have. Not to be a complete party pooper, Mr. Faleskini will also hint at the earning opportunities in the economy today. In order to please the almighty algorithm, please like, share, and subscribe. And now it's time to start taking notes. The mic goes to the podcaster, the one and only Mr. Faleskini.
Welcome to the Ask Faleskini podcast with a guest. I'm proud to present Patrice Bisiot from New York. Patrice is a personal brand and image coach to celebrities, global leaders, and entrepreneurs. He is known as a style interventionist because the changes he proposes to his clients make an impact on many areas of their lives, often dramatical and unexpected. His methodology teaches goal-oriented dressing, namely getting your appearance to align with what you're trying to accomplish. His image impact index is about what we reveal when we get ready. Dressing for success today requires becoming fluent in the language of fashion. Patrice believes that image impacts life. Patrice, please tell us more about yourself. What is your story?
Thank you, Peter, for having me. All right, so my story started in Paris. That's where I'm from. And the journey started as a boy who very clearly knew that he didn't know exactly how it was going to look like, but he was going to be an artist. He was going to be an entrepreneur, and he was going to make a difference in the world. So all that was very, together, but not really knowing which one in which order. Well, it happened that hair started to be the beginning of the journey. And then entrepreneurship kicked in very soon after, because by the age of 18, I was managing 3 hair salons in Paris for one of the biggest brands in Paris. And that really got me to start this journey, to understand, wow, I love what I do. I love the craft I picked. I'm really great at it because I always say I want to be the best at what I'm going to choose to doing. But that leadership really make me feel even more so that I own my space on earth. That became something where I went to my boss and I said, listen, I need more. And he was like, 18 years old, you're managing 3 of my businesses. How much more could you possibly have? Well, then for soon after, he started, to create more abroad. And Miami became the journey. It became where he made me an offer. And I was managing his first salon in Miami in Bal Harbour Shops. For those who know, it's the most and the top of luxury in Miami. It's the Rodeo Drive of Miami. And that's when I started understanding, wow, yes, America was always for me. And Hollywood was always my inspiration. And here I am, I'm going to make a name for myself. So again, I didn't know exactly how it was going to look like. But a year later, I decided, you know what? I cannot work for anybody else. So I opened my own business. I was 19 and some change. And now I'm like, yes, now it feels right. So my entrepreneurial journey started with that salon. It was a very large operation with a bunch of spa services. But same thing, I started feeling like, I need more. So more became, of course, starting with Hollywood. So where my publicist helped me to build my brand, that was the first time I actually understood what brand was about. It was about knowing what is my vision, mission, and purpose. Same thing, not so sure about it. Worked with Hollywood for a long time, started creating clientele all around the world, but something in it was missing. And then 2010 came around. I lost everything, ended up from all the success I had on my 4 businesses to sleep in my car. And that moment was the reveal moment when now it was clear that I had to choose a path. So instead of being obsessed with the kill, with the money, with the ambition and the drive, it became more, what is it that I want to do with me, with my life? How do I want to complete that? Because I done a lot. I made a lot of money. Now I don't have any. In fact, I owed a lot of money to a friend of mine in Paris for a project that my kind business partner and friend just stole from me. So I was like, how does that look like? So I mean, so soon after sleeping in my car every night, I realized, all right, that's it. I need to focus. And my focus turned into moving to Beverly Hills full time. And that's when I started really understanding, oh, that's how it works to concentrate my efforts into one direction. So Hollywood was really a big, big piece of it. But then very little after, I'm like, I get it. I need my message to be greater, broader. It needs to be shared with other people. And by helping celebrities, and of course, then global leaders came around and entrepreneurs on a high level, I realized that actually the way I was helping them to look was really not that. The real journey was, how do you feel? How do you want this impact to be about? How do you want to make a first impression? Because make me beautiful, make me handsome, make me powerful. It doesn't mean anything only for you, because the emotional connection you have with the word is what you have grown to be from childhood. However you mature that word, it means one thing to you, but it doesn't mean that it's the same thing for others. So that's what I study identifying with my clients. Like, no, you need to describe what you think looks powerful, what looks handsome, what looks sexy, what looks beautiful. Now I can help you understanding the within you, and that within becomes the outer look. But that outer look is going to be the very final destination of that journey. We need to build your brand. And I started kind of getting my own aha moment, and I started putting together my data to say, it needs to make sense. And from making sense to a process, it became my first book, Mind Your Hair. And Mind Your Hair was basically the story of telling all the women and men of the world, but mostly women, obviously, to say one day when you don't feel good with yourself, instead of putting the responsibility on your hairstylist and say, you know what, change me, because you think by changing your looks, you're going to change your life. That's the other way around. You change your life and then you change your look. And that's how I started understanding deeply the gift that I had forever, which is the psychology of appearance, that impact, that nanosecond when you walk into the room. That's what I understood, how to create all those weeks of work to get that very moment when either a celebrity walks on the red carpet because they're premiering their movie, maybe a leader that's presenting their new product in front of the press or the media. I understood how to create the maximum impact the moment the person showed up in front of a screen, in front of a crowd, or whatever it is, but that nanosecond. Because when they say you have 5 seconds to make a great impression, you only have a nanosecond. By the time the brain and the nervous system are talking with each other, it's instant. When you lay your eyes on somebody, it's instant. So now I understood the power of that. And then I started doing keynotes on female empowerment and those groups that were helping and mentoring a high school group of girls in Astoria, New York. I started realizing, okay, but there is more into what I do. And that's when I started pulling the data together again. And my second book, Mind Your Impact Style Interventionist, came out a few months ago. And now my journey is really getting to conquer the world and helping the world to understand how to build your brand.
Oh, that's great. So many things you mentioned. I will just ask you a couple of questions because you work with influencers and top entrepreneurs and global leaders. I would just like to ask you, I'm a minimalist and also I live a scat life. So not lavish, not Hollywood-like. Especially because I was in finance in Switzerland for over a decade. I was taught to how to say to be really conservative with my image. So one of the tech entrepreneurs of my era was Steve Jobs. If you remember, he was always in jeans and turtleneck. Would you say that this image was a consequence, how they would like to present it in a book, that he just wanted to simplify everything? Or was that really well-staged persona? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a great question. That's a question I get regularly because that's the thing. The tech world has tendency to think, oh, it doesn't belong to me. Only to show them now that the owner and the CEOs of Twitter and all the tech people, you realize they actually pay attention to their brand. They actually pay attention to their fashion. And even though, of course, they dress on the casual side, but they're wearing the $3,000 sneakers and they have the custom made jacket. So yes, Steve Jobs had a different mission because he wanted to change the world. And he didn't want the highlight on him per se, although he was obviously the vehicle to it. But by dressing up that way, he sort of disappeared because for him, and I read about it enough, that, for instance, one of the things he said that way, you just kind of melt with the decor. The design of the stage, when I'm on stage, it's dark, and usually there's a dark curtain. That way now everything disappears and the focus is on the product I'm presenting, not on me. So people are going to have their eyes on what I'm here for doing, selling and educating people on a device that's going to change the world.
So basically, that was also a lot of preparation went into that image. It was not just something that appeared out of nothing.
No, everything the man was doing, that we like the man or not for who he was as a person, everything was extremely thought over. And people thought that he was just dressed like that because he had no idea, or he was casual, or he had really no sense of fashionista. Not at all. Every move he made was extremely calculated, and the dressing in black, and often he was wearing flip-flops, just to tell you, and it's not that he cared less about the thing, it was about understanding that he was not the important part of that puzzle. He was only the creator, but he was really there to say, hey, I'm backward. This is what you need to focus on, which is obviously the iPhones that he started presenting. And that's why this calculation of outfit was extremely well thought.
Okay. As for my listeners, I would like to ask the question that is probably on everybody's mind right now. What are the most common mistakes business people make regarding their image?
Okay, I can go on for hours, but let me summarize it. For instance, people have this code with color. Oh, if I'm in black, I'm professional looking. For some people, black is death. Black is going to a funeral. So not necessarily what it is. It can also mean, oh, suit and tie will do. Not necessarily. What about the fit? What about the style? It's not just because you wear a suit, but if you look like you're trapped from 20 years ago in that suit and the shoulder pads look more like you could be hired for being a quarterback in some football team, well, that's where it is. Maybe you don't know how to knot your tie. Women, same thing. Oh, pantsuit is always the winner. No, it's not, because what is the industry you work in? What is the difference you're going to make when you go on a job interview or you get that promotion? The white noise is everywhere. The HR is going to interview 100 people, 200 people, 300 people. How do you make a difference for that person to remember you? Because your credentials, they're already there. The resume, people know already. That's why you're here. What the difference is, that nanosecond when you walk in, put your personality into your outfit. And I'm not saying be yellow and green because people go to extreme. No, infuse who you are. First of all, identify the industry you're in, because if you work in fashion or in creativity, or you work with, an ad agency, or you're going for a hedge fund position, of course, the code is very different. But that code, nonetheless, even though with all that it has, which is, yes, we expect, for instance, the financial world to wear suits, but there's many ways to wear a suit. The fabric, the color, the fit, the accessories, this is what's going to make a difference. So be mindful of it. That's why every one of my clients, I make them do a mood board, which we do in fashion when we're about to create an ad campaign. You need to understand, what is the mood? What does the girl look like? What kind of understanding do we have? Who do we speak to? That's another thing. Understand who you're going to talk to. Go online, see what they have, because people do that too many times. They actually have access to all that data, but they don't take advantage of it. Instead, it's like, oh, it's a job interview. Okay, suit and tie, and that's what expected of me. No, actually, you should look into the person that's going to interview you. That's what you want to do. Just like dating, just like a marriage, you meet in the middle, because you realize that that person perhaps is actually really eccentric, maybe edgy, maybe ultra conservative, and from that, infuse what they have with what you have and make it that outfit that's going to be the winner, and that's going to make you look absolutely the person of the part.
Okay, great input. If I understand correctly, for example, when you have a strict dress code, for example, we had a strict dress code, like you had to have a dark red tie, white shirt, and dark blue suit, and black shoes. So if I understand correctly, there's a lot of ways. First, for the how the suit is tailored, and how the what kind of tie do you have, how the shirt is tailored, and also all these fabrics that goes. Is that something that can tell a story also?
Oh, it's not, it can't tell a story. It tells a story. Because
Okay.
again, before you can open your mouth, before, we recognize each other just the same as animal kingdom, because that's what we forget, but we're just part of animal kingdom, only in a different form. We are reactive beings. We react to the signals we read. And of course, it's that it can influence the person. It will influence the person. Everything I wear every day, wear my glasses, this, that, it's all in purpose, because branding is two things. Branding is the emotion you bring to the table, which means, do I trust that person? Do I feel like that person fits the role? Do I feel like I want to talk to that person? And purpose. Now it's like, yep, the person has understood what they're doing here today, and you understand it subliminally by the story you tell on what you wear. And this is why the whole drama of like, I'm not a fashionista, I know nothing about it. Well, first of all, you should, because as a leader, your responsibility is to follow the trends in your industry, but the trends, that's what's happening out there. And I'm not saying dress like on a runway, but definitely that should help you, influencing you to understand, hey, what's happening now? Because if you're selling me the future, whether it's going to be to manage my money, maybe to a tech service, and you're selling me the future, but you look like the past, how can my mind understand those two? Because now I don't trust you, because I can't do it if I don't feel like the signals in front of me are conveying that message. And that's what branding is about. Just the same as if you buy something you love that you love to eat. That brand represents something to you. The first emotion is like, oh yeah, it makes me hungry. Ooh, I could already taste it. Now, because you trust that brand with the emotion, you're buying it, because that currency against the value you're bringing and you're getting, now it's equal. So that's why branding is the emotion. So that nanosecond when you walk into the room is the emotion, because we're emotional beings and we react to what we have around us. And what is the purpose? Have you understood the purpose as why we're here today at this very moment?
Great. So is there something like over-the-top image? What are the signs that someone is trying too hard with their image?
You can read it in their body language. You see, this is the thing. When people say, oh, I don't have $1 million to redo my wardrobe. First of all, no one said that. And second of all, it's not neither because you put something expensive on somebody that they are going to feel like, wow, I feel like $1 million. I've seen it many times. The body language will translate immediately what's happening. We are vibrational beings. We're made of 75% of water. And what does water react to? Vibration. Because if you put a bowl of water next to a speaker with classical music, it's going to have that gentle effect, as if you put it next to a hard rock blasting music while the water is going to spill everywhere. Same thing for us. By being made out of water, we are reactive to the vibrations we receive. And someone wants to be over the top often, and really in majority, it's just not because they own their space. They feel like if they do over, that's going to make them look like they own the room and they are like so, cool about themselves and their self-esteem level is at the highest. It isn't. It is actually, you could read someone who's wearing something that they are so uncomfortable in. I see it a few days ago. There was this meeting. This guy was raising a bunch of millions for a very, very good project. But you could tell, first of all, he just bought that suit. That suit was horrible on him. But not just that, he kept on pulling on his sleeves. He kept on having this thing with the neck. And I was like, wow. And everybody noticed it. This is the thing. When the guy left the table, they all looked at me saying, so? I'm like, what did you think first? And everybody was like, but he looked so uncomfortable. And he looked like what he was wearing was not even fitting him. And you see by those guys that are, and it was a very business oriented financial conversation. It was about, they could read the signs of this guy had nothing to do in what he chose to wear. Instead of being comfortable, well in his skin, saying, hey, this is my project. This is why I'm raising money. Instead, the guy, the only thing he could think of is, oh my God, I hope the sleeves are the right time. I feel like the color is drooping. Maybe my tie is not good enough. And that's how you could see, and you cannot fool people. That's why the whole you fake it until you make it. Nah, I don't really agree with that. On occasion, it works, but it's not a valid statement to make. It's absolutely not. You walk into the room and people will read you automatically, instinctively, because they react as vibrational beings that they are.
Okay, I just thought of another two questions I think that are good for identifying. Is there a sign that people do not do enough for their image, or that their image is not adequate to the business or the level of business they're doing? Is there a telltale sign that someone can immediately says, okay, they're not doing enough for their image?
Well, I mean, again, that's what you think. So I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what is not enough, because not enough for me is my not enough for you. But there is, of course, you could tell when someone come to a job interview again. That's a great example, because now people think everybody has to go at some point or another, a job interview or pitching a client. It's the same thing. If you're an entrepreneur and you're pitching your client for this great idea, the thing is, they're going to know instinctively once again, and it kind of really ties up with the other answer, which is not enough yet. People will read that, hey, you're trying to sell me something or pitch me with an idea or want that job so badly, but where is the work? Because the way you take care of yourself, this is the thing too. It's not just vanity to have the right haircut, to have the right accessories, to have the right pieces on you. It's about demonstrating how in tune are you with yourself, because people are only drawn into people that are aligned within themselves. If someone walk into the room, I walk into the room and I own the room, because that's just who I am. I'm not here to impress anyone or to put my show on. It is the way I react to me. I finally love myself enough that I know the space I occupy is worthy. And by the not enough you're referring to, I feel like you're trying to say, well, that's, you could tell the person has never really spent time on what they're presenting. And if they don't take time of what they're presenting, how are they going to take time on my business, my money, my brand? And that's really where it's at. So yes, life is in evolution. And if you don't follow the current of what's happening in your life in every level, financially, socially, with your family, there is no success.
Okay. How important is health in the whole image world? How important is that person is healthy?
Yeah, well, health, I'll go to the mental health and to the emotional, because health is a very large word. But to me, the third part of my coaching, the third week, is spirituality. So, of course, I would never tell that to my client first, because they'll be like, what? What does my brand has to do with spirituality? Well, it has everything to do. Because to me, health is knowing when you wake up in the morning, how in tune with yourself are you? Because you see, the way you're going to get dressed means you identify your emotion. Hey, how do I feel today? What's going on in my head, in my body, in my mind? Now, by being in front of your closet, it's like, all right, what am I going to wear that's going to translate that emotion? So health is crucial to knowing that you need to take that time in the morning to knowing whether you want to do yoga, you want to run around the block, you want to read an empowerment piece, maybe you listen to a self-help audio or podcast. These are the way to giving your health, as you mentioned it, to a great success. Because by being aligning with yourself at home, now you can get out there and sell what you have to sell and share the information you have to share, influence the world in however you see it. Because that health means essentially you are aligned with who you are. And if you're all over the place in your mind, and today is a really weird day, and then people will say, oh my God, I woke up late, I got crazy. Of course, there was traffic, I got to work late. Do you possibly think that that's going to help to build success that day? everything is out of alignment, that you want it or not. Success has to do with spirituality and alignment. And health, in that case, means you were completely out of whack. Your vibrational field was all over the place. Therefore, you go out there thinking people are not going to sense that. Again, now we're going back to be, emotional beings that will receive that energy. And for sure, that health is crucial to observe, to say, hey, how do I take care of my body? Same thing when people are overweight. It's not because, they have a whole bunch of names that society decided to give them. It means they give up on themselves. And by doing so, it translates subliminally that if I give up on myself, how am I going to take care of others? And that's where it starts.
Okay, great. So spirituality is important, especially because a person needs to be in tune with themselves, and the clothes and all the fashion is just an upgrade of their inner self, if I understand correctly.
Not an upgrade, an interpretation.
Okay. So let's move to another topic that is now really important in fashion, and I believe in the US it's a huge trend, are watches. What do you feel about watches? What are your favorite brands? What would you recommend for a business person? What kind of watches should they stick to?
All right, I'll give you my example. That way, a good example is worth many, many words. For instance, I love Panerai. That's a limited edition. And why Panerai? Because I travel a lot. And on occasion, you don't know if you're not going to be in a place where that's not going to be so safe, because traveling means you're going to drive and maybe you take the wrong turn, or you're going to be in conditions where, you don't know who's around you. And Panerai to me is the ultimate of luxury because it looks so simple and only aficionados will recognize it. So wearing the big old shiny gold with the diamonds around, you could do that if you feel that this is aligning with who you are. Great. It wouldn't be with me because attracting the attention for that reason is not me. I want to wear something I love. And that watch, and for men, I always said the men are the watches and the shoes are absolutely two very big component into when someone meets the other. Watches, men will look over watches because that's just part of the DNA. And that timepiece is going to tell a lot about their life story upon what you wear. It will absolutely translate who you are.
How important are the cars in the whole image of one person? Especially in the US, used to be a huge car culture. The younger people do not feel that way anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a generational conversation. Now you're talking Generation Z, Y, and X. I mean, cars they can care less, being a Prius and be perfectly happy as the generation before. And that's the millennium, where millennials, which actually people think that they're the 20-year-old, but no, the millennials are actually people now in their 40s. That's actually true. Car is a big trend in when it comes to demonstrating the success. How custom made is your Ferrari? How great is the limited edition of a Tesla you have? Yes, it is part of a success because it's got that thing. And that's really for the 1% of the population, which I deal with all the time. Of course, car is a great piece of showing your wealth and your success. But in it, I actually learned with my clients that I actually love their cars because it aligns with who they are. Somewhat traditional, and they're going to find they rather have the Maybach or the Benz, the high-level Benz, because it's classical, it's traditional, it's more subdued in a way, although it's still very luxurious. When now another one will choose the red Ferrari because now it's like, yeah, it's with me. It aligns with who I am, how I feel in the morning. I love my life to be full speed, and I want to show the world that I am that guy. So yes, cars are absolutely in this culture, especially in America. But although I shouldn't say that because it's the same in Brazil. If you go to Sao Paulo, it is the same thing. In fact, they were ranked for the longest time the first place in the world. I'm talking compared to countries that had the most amount of luxury cars.
Okay, I didn't know about that. How important is the house or the place where you live for your image? How important is that you live in a nice neighborhood, that your house or your apartment is aligned with what you represent?
Yeah, I mean, the question is a little vague, but if I understand how important is it of the quality of the space you live in and the neighborhood you have chosen? Is that the
Yeah,
question?
how much does that influence the image that you project to the world?
Oh, well, it depends if you're projecting now. Hold on, because the projecting is, again, if it's you fake it until you make it, or you just do that to show the others, hey, I own, my own life. I have the big house and the corner lot in the best neighborhood, wherever city you live in. Or if it's you choosing it because a good neighborhood probably means safety. I mean, it does mean safety. Probably you have a family, you want your kids to be safe. So there is a component of safety to it. It's not
Mhm.
just, hey, let me do the show and let me put on the show. It's about knowing now, do I like it? I remember when I had when I lost everything and I had my rental, but all my furniture were absolutely Italian and custom made. And people were like, but that's a rental. Okay. And I was like, I'm not understanding. What do you mean? Well, why would you put such beautiful, expensive furniture into a rental? Well, because I live in it, because I walk in it, and when I push the door of my apartment, I don't care. I'm renting it for now because I'm going to buy my house in a short future. I want to feel that I'm in with me, the design, the decor, the art that's on the wall. I want everything to reflect me as me, not because I'm putting on a show. And believe me, every time I design something, in fact, that was one of the businesses I lost when 2008 came around and 2010 I lost it all. It was about design, because design to me, the accord of what the visual talks to the brain, talks to the senses, that's important. So for a person to choose a great neighborhood, again, safety is probably there, enjoying the luxury of their hard labor. You're working hard. Now you want to reward yourself with a great living space. The look of it, the feel of it, where it's going to be located, of course, it aligns with who they are.
Mhm. What's your take on a plastic surgery as part of the image? I'm implying here as an eyesight, I say, improvement, as a teeth improvement, hair improvement with girls for so artificial boobs and Botox. What's your take on all this plastic surgery that is going on now?
You see, everything in life is about balance. Now, if you feel so insecure about something that's missing to you, for others, you might be like, okay, what is she doing? What is he doing? Because you're mentioning women. No, the men's market has never grown so fast in the beauty industry. So
Mhm.
it's actually not 50-50, but it's definitely now it's turning into a good 35-65 and probably 40-60 very soon. So it's really important to knowing just the balance of it. You want to redo your lips? Go for it. But don't exaggerate them, because now you're showing your insecurity. Botox, why not? You don't like the wrinkles? Same thing. In small touches, go to see an artist. Do your homework. Don't just jump on a deal, because I've seen clients, even the wealthiest of clients, but they're happy because they're getting a deal. I'm like, you're getting injected in your face. So be mindful who is doing it. But absolutely, plastic surgery, if it's done right by the artist that's going to understand beautifully what you want to achieve. Again, what is the goal? What's the emotion you want to bring? The same thing as your outfit. Whoever is going to do it for you, choose them carefully. Have a great talk with them. But I'm absolutely all for it. And I always joke that the day I will need something that I feel now, I'm not like looking as fresh or as this or that I want. Absolutely. I'll get touch up on whatever it is that I will need to do.
Mhm. So now, as a ex-financial guy, the treasurer, I have a question for you. I'm really interested in what is the right budget percentage-wise of the income that business people should invest in their image.
It's proportional to your income. It depends on what you have as a disposable income. Obviously, it depends on the bracket that you're in. So I have clients actually that will be spending and putting on a credit card because it's important to them, realizing those 9 weeks actually be quantifying into money. In fact, it's funny, you're talking financials. Right now, I'm running a major campaign, reaching out to hedge fund and wealth management, but on a super high level. But on occasion, I have clients and I'm doing consultation with guys that will make 100 to 150 a year. It's good, but it's not rich. And yet they understand that the money they're going to spend with me is actually going to take them to the next level. One of my latest clients, a very successful hedge fund guy in New York City, but he wanted to make an extra $1 million upon all the work he was doing for his boss, who's a billionaire and who has created one of his businesses as a hedge fund just on his own money. Now, my client thought, I need more. How do I do that? And by actually building that presentation, and it was a 3-minute presentation, it took us 9 weeks. Those 9 weeks have actually understood that investing in money in me was actually not just going to be looking good, feeling good, having the right body language. It was about having the right communication skills in order to request for that raise to happen. And it did, by the way. And the guy made an extra million. Now he makes an extra $1 million a year on his salary. What I'm saying, it is proportional to what you make. But if you want to always be on top of your game, you need to invest in yourself. You need to be part of something greater than you, because if you think you have it all figured out, absolutely not. Every leader has coach of all sorts, whether it's self-development.
I agree. Let's say that we have 100,000 disposable income a year.
Okay.
You said that you have a 9-week course, if I understand correctly.
Yes.
How much would that be if it's?
Yeah, my 9 weeks course is 17,500.
Okay.
Mhm.
And how much do you think that a person like this should then invest on top of this in clothes, shoes, and accessories? On average,
That question is almost irrelevant, because I
Mhm.
just did that. That it was a game with a client of mine where I say, for $1,000, we're gonna go, and you're gonna come back with 20 pieces. She said, that's impossible. Try me. So we went to Macy's, and then she was used to always buying very luxurious pieces, and she's like, oh, Macy's. I'm like, yeah, well, why don't we try it out? And I knew it was the right time, because it was the store was on sale. It was the right time on the calendar.
Mhm.
And I said, all right, now let's open that challenge. And that challenge ended up that she ended up with 21 pieces for $1,000. So it is not just the money you spend. That's another misconception on the whole, I build my brand, and to look good, I have to spend a ton of money. It's about owning what you wear. It's about owning your space. It's about, like, yes, when I put it on, I look good, I feel good. Now I'm ready to tell my story to the world. So there is no budget, specific budget on clothing. Of course, on some of the pieces like shoes, cheap shoes for men will show. And that I would say you have to spend some good money, but that money is going to be fine because the quality is such that you're going to take it in time. So yes, you're going to spend more money right now, but you're going to take it in time much longer.
Okay. I'm trying to get something tangible because I'm from financial world. What is the good budget for single pair of shoes for a business person, for men?
Oh, as a leader, you cannot spend less than $700 or $800 on a pair of shoes. Like, you'll have to get your Ferragamo. In fact, that's one of my stories in my book. One of the chapter is dedicated to this guy that was just about to be cleaned out of everything and leaving the street. And I put a pair of Ferragamo shoes on him. Of course, he went to Ferragamo and saying, I'm going to have a heart attack. I've never spent that much money on a pair of shoes. But guess what? Because I knew who he was meeting, and that person, because I helped my client. In fact, I did the research, and then I brought him in to say, now this is the process on how you do it. What could you see on every picture of this guy on LinkedIn? And then eventually he's like, oh, I don't know, he's wearing this thing, and it's like the same buckle on his shoe and his belt. Yeah, it's called Ferragamo. Yeah, what is that? Well, it's very famous and it's Italian. Okay, now you're going to buy a pair, and why? Not just because they're expensive. And he's like, okay, but you're going to have now a portal of conversation. And guess what? When that gentleman came into the office to present, he had a big IT project that was actually going to change some of the digital world. The guy, the first thing he did was putting his eyes on the shoes and be like, wow, look at us. We have the same taste. But what did it have? What happened? I mean, what did it mean? Subliminally, by my client wearing the brand that the other person recognized. Now it became a conversation. Men of taste, men of trust, because when you sell something, you want them to trust you. And by having that piece that was recognizable, speaking the language of the other person, those $800 that he spent, guess what? Made him a $3 million contract. And that's how you quantify appearance with money. It's not just a fashion statement you're making, it's the money that's going to make, because now you're speaking the right language to others.
Oh, great. So I would also like to know, now there's a lot of talk about alpha male and sigma male.
Okay.
Is there a difference how they dress in business? Is there any of your own observation that the alpha males dress differently than the beta males and they dress differently than the sigma male? Is there anything that you can share from your experience?
Yeah, I start seeing the change because the mindset is changing. There's definitely an opening. The world I'm in, because I'm dealing with the 3% of the population for the most part, the change is very subtle. Yeah, men are going to dare now. It's more in actually, David Beckham did a great job at that. He started showing when the metrosexuality started coming around, which I was like, what is that word? But it was really to saying, hey, guys, I'm a god. In the stadium, I'm a god. So by society perspective, is a real man, because I love when people use the real man versus a man. I have no idea what that means, but okay, a real man. Well, that by standard and society standard, and really your question, that's a real man for the world. Well, that real man showed the world that do facials, take care of your body, have skincare, use skincare, pay attention to your haircut, change your haircut, change the hair color. And that's how it started saying, yeah, you can actually have fun with who you are. Obviously, some of the industries, they are a little less open to that mindset because it's still going to take time to get there. But you definitely see a difference. You could see men paying more attention, daring maybe a haircut that they would have never done before. Start playing with color. You could see on the glow of their skin that they're paying attention with their skincare. Mm-hmm. The shaving regimen, the grooming. Now the beard is very much in fashion. To go to your barber every week or two to make sure everything is aligned, because those details are going to tell the other person, I take care of myself. And yes, I am very in tune with who I am. I'm still an alpha male, but now my alpha got into a place of relaxation and knowing that I could take care of myself and not having to wonder if people think if I'm straight or I'm gay. No, it's not anymore the conversation. The conversation is, hey, you have access to everything to look your best. Do you look your best?
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you would like our listeners to take from this interview? Any quick tips of trade or secrets that you can share?
My secret is, you know what? When you get in the morning, you wake up and identify how you feel. That's going to give you first the landscape. Now, what is the goal of the day? Obviously, whether it's a regular day at work, you're pitching the biggest client of your life, it's promotion time, it's job interview, whatever it is, that purpose, you need to put it. And now that brand is aligning your emotions, knowing how you feel. The purpose means you're going to pick what fits into that situation and take a look in the mirror. That's the biggest secret, because if that reflection, all you could think of is the wrinkle here, the gray hair here, that maybe this, that, how are you going to get out there conquering the world? You can't. Mm-hmm. If that reflection is not in peace with who you are, there is no success to come. So please, when you look at that reflection, love it, then you get out there and you go and you win.
Great. Thank you for this insight. What I learned today is that branding is the emotion you bring to the table. And
that's all it is.
Very important that also the saying that you said, man of taste, man of trust. That is also, I think, a really important message from this interview. So I will put the links to your social media and all these connections in the description below. Thank you, Patrice, for being
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Faleskini, for this outstanding podcast. And thank you for listening to the Ask Faleskini podcast until the end. Mr. Faleskini would love to hear your feedback in the comments. And don't forget, if you want to know, ask Faleskini or listen to the Ask Faleskini podcast. In order to please the almighty algorithm, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.